How do you see Gen Z adopting to what ALT DRX is trying to do?
So I think it's very difficult to read the mind of Gen Z.
How do you build trust with first-time investors?
So at ALT DRX, for example, our fundamental investment principle is safety over returns.
Hi, what sparked the idea of ALT DRX?
Hey, but before I start, I think I should compliment you guys on the fantastic work that you guys are doing. Retalk is doing a great show, and especially you, buddy. Thanks for having us on the show to begin with.
Happy to have you both.
What sparked the idea of ALT DRX? I think it stems from a very simple philosophy that we thought we looked around, and we saw that the common man, middle India, as we say, was able to participate in virtually every asset class. He wanted to buy Reliance, he can buy one share of Reliance. If he wanted to start mutual funds, he can start with $500. He wants to do fixed deposit, he can buy. So virtually every asset class was available for the common man and the women, But I thought real estate was not so, right? If you have to buy real estate, you need truckloads of capital, you have to do 100 hours of research at least required before you buy a home or invest in a home, you have to manage it yourself, you take all your money and put it in one asset, take your life savings, 10 years of life savings and go and put it in one apartment, one city, one micro market, one project, one tower, one floor, one viewing angle, that's the kind of concentration.
And one mistake, everything goes
for a toss, right? So we thought, why? I mean, when you can invest in 10 shares, you can invest in 10 mutual funds, you can invest systematically, We thought, okay, that's where the thought emanated, saying that why can't we get the best practices of the financial world and use it in real estate? Why can't middle India buy and sell real estate 1 square foot at a time? Why can't I buy 10 square foot in Bangalore, 20 square foot in Hyderabad, and 1 square foot in...
Diversifying the portfolio.
And when I want to sell, I just punch a sell order and sell and then look at the next opportunity.
So can we see ALT DRX as a exchange of future for real estate?
Today we would like to call ourselves as a marketplace. An exchange is a regulated word, so we should respect the fact that there are regulatory boundary conditions that are there. Today we are merely a marketplace where people can buy and sell tokenized real estate in quantities of their choice. They are not giving the discretion to anybody. They are taking conscious decision. They are seeing the information available at various things, and taking a decision to invest at a quantum of their choice in any of these asset classes.
Great. How did you assemble your founding team,
No, I assembled, I got Avinash and then he did everything after that,
Okay.
So
I'm anyhow going to speak to Avinash on this. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, how did you guys meet up?
No, we've been friends for the longest time, Okay. Avinash and me are in more ways than one different from each other, yet we are complement each other. There are things that I do well and there are things that he does well, and we complement each other well. And I think the power of the idea, and many of our relationships were all old relationships. These are relationships that we cultivated over a long period of time, and when they saw us stepping in and doing something, there was a natural attraction for people to come together. So the core team are people that we've known for a decade almost,
So that gives a better bond in terms of setting up a company and taking it to a next level?
Yeah, it's true, right? I mean, otherwise, as such in startups, you tend to get on each other's nerves. If you don't have a personal bond, sometimes it's difficult to get past.
Very difficult. I mean, I have learned this in my career as well. Oh, now moving on to Avinash, how has the vision of ALT DRX evolved since its launch?
So, like Anand said, thank you for taking the time out and doing this with us, and you're doing a wonderful job, and your passion for real estate is for everyone to see, and the kind of effort that you put with people in real estate is commendable. So very well done, first of all. Takes a lot for anyone to do that, and you're doing it. I think it's very, very commendable. So the thing with any startup or any business is that your willingness to pivot and willingness to see that what you thought is not what it's supposed to be, right? So things change, situations change, circumstances change, and you should be able to move forward basis those changed circumstances. A very good well-wisher and friend of ours told us that, look, the thing with you guys is that today if you're taking a direction, but tomorrow that direction changes or the pathway changes, you will immediately pivot and overcome that obstruction and find new way. So that is very important in any startup. For us, when we started, I don't think we had too much of doubt as to what we wanted to do. Okay. We wanted to democratize ownership of real estate. We wanted to get people to believe that real estate is a good asset class, right? There's always this whole circumspection with respect to real estate. People think, real estate kuch gochi hai. You know, that's a general sense.
There's no clarity as such.
Correct.
Lack of education is what I feel.
There are very few people like you, for example, in real estate, right, who are talking a lot of sense and come across as very credible. So we want to be that credible option.
Yes.
And you know, there's a famous saying which Warren Buffett said long ago. Your money should work for you when you're asleep. We want to be that platform where people come for real estate advice, where people know that now they can invest in 20 cities in the country without really worrying that who's going to take care of my asset, who's going to ensure rental income comes out of it, who's going to ensure property is managed well. You know, all those things we want to do. And in the process, ensure that there is far greater participation than what is there today. So everyone from every walk of life, especially middle India, should be able to invest in real estate. So that's how we see it.
Great. The vision looks very clear. Anand, any unexpected challenges you faced in your first year of operations?
Oh, every morning, afternoon and evening we have some unexpected challenge coming up.
One, if you can recollect something.
One significant unexpected challenge, you know. See, I think the most interesting thing about startups is that you have this cold start issue, right? You know, what that means is, let's say we are like a marketplace, we're like an Amazon bookstore, right? When customers coming looking for a book and you find bookstores, you know. So when you start a marketplace, you know, when customers come in search of a book, they want to see 100 book titles available of various choices, right? Which means you have a problem of how will I get 100 book titles on day one, you know? It's easier to get 100 book titles if 1 million customers are coming in search of your books. So you see this is a virtuous cycle, right? You know, if you get a lot of people coming in, you know, I mean, they want to see a lot of supply available. Right. But to have a lot of supply, you need a lot of people to come into your store, you know. So this...
It's all about someone coming in search of something, and it's your duty to ensure that there is something available which would match his taste.
Correct, right?
Then, believe me, I mean, it's a huge marketplace. That's what you're trying to create. Amazing.
That's the fundamental challenge. You come into a store and you find only one book title.
No one would come back again.
How do you ensure that you have enough book titles, you know, and how the guy who places the book titles can see enough number of customers coming? That's the challenge.
Crazy. I mean, because in real estate, I have realized whatever real estate in last 10, 12 years I have seen, people don't get what they want in one place. You know, commercial, they'll have to be dependent on someone else, residential, someone else, you know, various formats. So this is something very exciting, you know. Avinash, coming back to you, toughest learning curve so far?
Right. So it's not necessary. I don't think you should look at it like that, right? Okay. I mean, because you should be able to embrace change. So when you are embracing change, you need to unlearn a host of things, starting from the fact that what you enjoyed previously as being a professional is not something that you will enjoy in your life as an entrepreneur or as a founder of an organization. So the toughest learning curve is to forget that you were president or COO or CXO of any organization. And every time you go out there, you are representing yourself afresh. It's like you have to go back to your when you started your career, right? And you have to be able to present yourself with the same amount of energy and the same amount of passion. And I think that's very important. So it's like a reverse curve in that sense. So you go back in time and say, okay, I'm going to do everything I was doing earlier and do it better now, because I have got 2 decades of experience behind me. So it's tough to do it. It's not easy to do it. And the second thing I think which is very, very critical is to stick at it, right? Because many people I think look at problems as big hurdles. I don't think so problems are hurdles, and you will face a number of problems that you've not faced in your life earlier, and that is why you should be able to overcome those. So I think these are two things which one should be cognizant of. Being able to stick at it is only then you will be able to last, you know. So if you want to build something to last, then you have to ensure that you're made of some amount of steel, okay, and that is reinforced steel.
I agree. I mean, what I recollect from this is being a CEO or CXO in any company, it's about representing one brand. Now a company, you're trying to create a marketplace, it's just not about one thing, it's about various other aspects of real estate getting into one basket. So which is going to be challenging for sure, but I'm sure if you guys can smoothly run that, nothing like it.
Yeah, true. I mean, end of the day, you have to develop a host of things together, right? Yes. You'll have to develop your own brand, you'll have to develop your marketplace, you'll have to develop your TG, you'll have to develop a host of things. Then you'll have to have people who will start believing in you. So all these things have to be done like you were doing it 25 years back. You cannot think, okay, I have done 25 years of this, I can't do this or I can't do X. You have to do everything possible under the sun to make it successful, and I think that's a big learning that you get as when you get on to being on your own, right? So that's a big learning.
Anand, in one sentence, how do you explain tokenization for the younger audience? Because the marketplace, what you're trying to create is especially for the Gen Z and the younger generation, because today as we speak about financial literacy, I think you guys are creating something on real estate literacy for the younger generation, right? So how would you explain tokenization?
I think I should send a video of the RBI governor talking about tokenization. He does a fantastic job of talking about it. I'll send that clipping.
Yeah, I'll be happy to, you know.
But generally speaking, tokenization is a process by which a large asset, which an individual cannot independently afford, through the process of tokenization, that large asset is split into multiple small pieces so that many people can together come and buy pieces of that large asset. That's the concept, and the pieces of that asset that you get are tradable. Today you may buy 1/100th of an asset. The fact that you made 1/100th means the asset is tokenized, and then that 1/100th that I have, I can sell it digitally to him in return for money, without the need for the underlying asset to be sold.
Which is amazing.
I've done a bad job of explaining tokenization. You should see the way the RBI governor does it.
What I most of the times explain to the younger generation, we have this community building activity. What we show is there are set of, when you're constructing a building, there are multiple set of bricks. So I always show them an example saying one brick at a time, that becomes easier to accumulate things.
You've done a much better job than me.
No, I'm sure you explained it better.
One brick at a time.
I know, one brick at a time, that becomes. Avinash, any common misconception you noticed about fractional real estate?
Misconception about fractional real estate would be that I will make a lot of money, generally.
Yes.
And I think that is the biggest misconception that people have when it comes to anything to do with real estate. Now, suddenly with 25 lakh rupees, I will be able to double it in 3 years. I think that's a big misconception. I don't think real estate will ever work that way.
Yes.
So it's very important people to be aware that when they enter into any form of real estate transaction, no matter how small, it takes its own time to appreciate. And hence people should be very clear that just because the ticket size became smaller, the time to double it did not get half. That is not how it will work. What has happened is that you are now able to invest in many more assets which you were not able to do earlier. So that misconception about fractional real estate still exists. So that is one. I know you asked me one, but the second misconception about fractional real estate which is there is more from a customer finds it easier to trust an under construction product, but finds it hard to trust, okay, fractional asks you different types of questions, difficult questions which are not necessarily things that people ask when they are buying an apartment or buying a space which they can clearly demarket.
Yes.
So I think that misconception still exists in the minds of the people, because it may be existing because of the way, the manner in the way the industry is taking shape. But what people need to realize is that commercial real estate in Bangalore, for example, is built on fractional real estate. I mean, it's built on the fact that there were people who came in and put checks, and that's why developers could build a host of office spaces in the country. So these are two key misconceptions. One from a consumer side, which is like, okay, I can get rich quickly, and the second is this misconception about, is it legal, is it fair, is it right, things like that. So both exist, but I think the primary one, which I mentioned, requires much more education.
Yeah.
Because
I was coming to that point, lack of education on fractional is making people think twice to get into this market, is what I feel. Over a period of time, with so many notes getting in or people speaking about it, now I think the governing authorities are also getting into it, saying that yes, I mean, there's a lot of high about this, so let's get into this and standardize certain processes. Now various other formats what are getting into the system.
Everything needs education, right? It has taken almost a decade and a half for mutual fund Sahi Hai to take shape. It is today, a lot of people talk about futures and options. If you go to YouTube, everybody is talking about a future and option. Everybody is a master in knowing what is an underlying security, what is a derivative. Everybody knows it. That is because in the last 4 years, if COVID had not happened, you wouldn't have had so many people talking about futures and options, and so many channels would not have emerged. So over a period of time, I think education will take shape, meaning people will get educated on these aspects. But very clearly, directionally, you will own a home for your use, but everything else that you own over a period of time will be either in the tokenized form or in the fractional form, purely because it allows you far greater width. Both scope and scale are important in real estate. That width is allowed through fractional real estate. So that is what is going to get enabled. And in the last 1.5 years, I can safely tell you, education levels have become better.
Yes.
A lot of us are talking about it. A lot of us are explaining it. You are doing a very good job yourself of explaining it.
Idea,
So that way, I think there is a lot of momentum in this space.
Great. Anand, back to you. How do you build trust with first-time investors into fractional?
I think the fundamental piece for trust is that you have to deal with others' money as if it is your own. In fact, you have to deal with it far more wisely and conservatively. So at ALT DRX, for example, our fundamental investment principle is safety over returns. We don't sell based on IRR. I don't want people to come because 16% IRR, 18% IRR. I want to make everybody knows real estate can create multi-generational wealth. It's a patient game. Okay.
Long-term
You were not correct. You were not able to afford it. I'm making it possible for you to afford it. You would not have access to multiple cities. I'm giving you access to multiple cities. So I think putting safety over returns, is the primary task, of earning trust. You can't let your customer lose his money. It is a loss that you cannot recover from, I think. So we have desisted from originating risky products. Even though the returns are more attractive.
Avinash, what's your strategy for simplifying complex real estate concepts? Sorry, I think I'm asking a lot of,
No, it's fine. I think it's a very relevant question.
That's the deal between us, right?
Relevant
The
question.
easy ones for me and the difficult ones for him.
Actually, real estate is not very complex. It's
this is something very interesting.
it's very simple. There are 4 things in real estate. There's a parcel of land. There's a plan approval, there's a building, and that building has got either apartments or an office or a hotel, so the usage of real estate can be multiples, but ultimately there is land which is raw material, and there is a building that comes up on that land. What happens is that there are state government laws, there are various laws in various cities, and those are laws that which people have to abide by. So fundamentally, what people need to know is what they are investing in. what asset class they're investing in and where it is located. Now, what asset class they're investing in, where it is located, does it abide by the laws of that land? Meaning, in Bangalore alone, you will have 3 authorities who are giving different plan approvals at different points in time. If it is in Devanhalli, it is somebody else. If it is in the city, it is
plenty of pradhikaras who are managing
all these
this.
things are there. So people need to know who did the plans, who got you the plan sanction, from where it came. So those things should be available to them, and that should be good enough. In the sense, I don't think it's like, when you go to buy a car, do you want to figure out what's going on inside the hood? Not really, right? Even many people don't know whether the hood is behind or in front of an electrical car, right? Yes. So they want to know whether the car will function properly. The same way, am I investing in good quality real estate? For that, what are the checks and balances? The checks and balances are, is the legal due diligence done well? Is the technical due diligence done well? Is the micro market, what is the micro market like? What is there in that micro market? So as long as this information can be provided, then it becomes very easy for people to make a decision. So I think we facilitate that in more ways than one, in a manner which is easily accessible to people and easily understood by people. So if you were to go to our platform and see, there is a list of frequently asked questions. Okay. And then there is a report from a very accredited international property consultant who says what this micro market is going to look like. And if you were to go and see a due diligence report, many a time due diligence reports are longer than the sale deed. So who's going to read it? So we have a small summary of the due diligence, things like what I told you.
Sorry, I'll stop you here. Are you trying to create an information repository?
So if anyone comes to our platform, to make that decision, whatever information is required, they have that and a little bit more. Simply because people also come with this concept that, oh my God, it might be very complicated. As it is, buying an apartment which is 75 lakhs is difficult. Now, how have they made it possible to invest 1 square foot at 10,000 rupees? So what is this whole thing? So that's why we ensure that people who come onto our platform are fully informed and well informed, so that they do not go back thinking, I didn't understand this, right? I mean, many a times people get confused about simple things. So it's very important to simplify it. So that's what we do in terms of simplifying it, making it accessible and easily understood, right?
Great. Moving back to Anand, let's speak a little bit about future of real estate. Say next 5 years, how would people, or what will be the process of buying properties? I'm sure ALT DRX will be one of the marketplace for people will look into, but still, if you can give some insight on this.
Sure. See, there are broadly 3 mechanical reasons why people buy property. One is to use it. Okay, it's a home. Another one is you buy property because it grows in value over a period of time. The other one is it gives you annuity rental incomes, right? So I think all these 3, I think there will be players who will become strong. So if it's a home, you have real estate builders. If it's annuity income product, you have REITs in the capital market. Okay. If it's growth opportunities, which is an investment, you have platforms like ALT DRX, right? So we work fundamentally only on residential as an asset class, So the fundamental proposition is that grow your wealth over a period of time. That's the, buy good quality assets, safer assets, reduce your risk, and let it just grow over a period of time. Just sleep, and then it'll grow in value, right? So about 500,000 homes are sold every year in India. Okay, about I think 4 lakh crores is the total volume. About 20-25% of that is investor orientation. People like you and me buying the second home, the third home. So that means that's 100,000 crore market. Okay, every year. Okay, so today the entire 500,000 homes, the sale happens at the developer's counter. All customers walk in, whether you want to buy a home or whether you want to buy it for investment, you walk into the developer counter. Going forward 5, 6, 7 years later, the guy who wants to buy a home for himself to use will go to a developer, see Vastu, see floor plan, see the view from the balcony, and they'll do that process, right? Where it's a very intensive purchase. The guys who want to buy it for investment will no more go to a developer's sales counter. They will come to people like us and see on our platform that you have Bangalore as a portfolio opportunity, Pune as a portfolio opportunity, you know, Ayodhya as a portfolio, Amaravati as a portfolio, Dubai as a portfolio opportunity, you know, and say, all right, you know, instead of taking in 1 crore and putting it in one apartment, let me put 10 lakhs in each of these opportunities, you know.
And see how it grows, you know.
Correct. So, and that's the approach. So the market would split. So if you want to buy a home, you go to a developer. You want to look at real estate from a growth perspective, you come to marketplaces like ourselves. You want annuity products, you go to a REIT, you know. So this is how I believe traditional property ownership, purely from an investment perspective, I don't think will happen anymore. You'll only own it as a digital real estate format.
Avinash, just to add on future of real estate, if you can add some points.
Sure. So the thing is that India is a 7-city real estate country. There are only 7 cities contributing whatever numbers Anand told you typically. That is going to become 100 cities, right? At its peak, China's real estate contributed close to 25% or 30% of China's GDP. In India, real estate still contributes a fairly single-digit percentage in India's GDP. That will grow, that will double. So the future of real estate is very bright. If your question is how bright,
correct,
this bright. So
there's huge scope.
Yeah, it's a huge potential. So imagine a potential where people now, instead of buying in 7 cities, are going to buy in 70 cities. You know, that is so 10x is the minimum growth percentage. Look at what's happening. You can reach Mysore in 2 hours from anywhere in Bangalore today. That is only going to get that time is only going to get curtailed. So the growth potential for real estate is massive.
Right. Now, getting back on the other point, you know, as I mentioned, the way people used to buy real estate over a period of time has evolved. So how do you see Gen Z adopting to what ALT DRX is trying to do?
So I think it's very difficult to read the mind of Gen Z. I think it's not easy to understand what they are thinking of. But one thing is very clear. The new generation wants to live the moments far greater than, try and build assets. So when we were growing up, we had a set plan, right? Do 1, 2, 3, 4 things at given intervals in your time, in your lifetime. I don't think so that is the case today, because this is a generation which is born at a time when there is plenty available. They don't have, it's not a generation where nothing is available, right? So it's very different. So what they would do is they would like to spend on moments, right? They would like to work in Goa. They would like to spend time in Goa, in Kerala, in various parts of the country and work from there, not just holiday over there. So this generation will want to invest their money rather than invest to get dividends rather than invest to live, right? So there was a time when you would just buy a home and that will be your one home. That is maybe our previous generation, parent generation. Then it so happened you put money in a 2-bedroom, then you bought a 3-bedroom, then maybe you bought some commercial retail and you were happy about that. I think that will completely change. The new generation will buy a home at some point in time. Where they buy a home need not necessarily mean to be the place where they are living in. Yes. But they will invest, and they will invest in the way they are investing in the stock market today. I mean, you remove this generation from the stock market, I think it will be a very different asset class altogether. So similarly, they will invest in various asset classes, and when it becomes accessible the way we are making it accessible, I think the age group will keep coming down. So today already 1/3 of our investors are less than 30. Nothing stops an 18-year-old, 19-year-old investing. Just look at the way what is the age group of people investing in various other asset classes, including the so maligned crypto. But the youngsters are willing to understand it and invest in cryptos. You'll be surprised to note that we had 16, 17-year-old interns who are keenly watching the stock market, yes, who are keenly watching the real estate market. So I think they understand the value of investing and making returns on their investment. So it's a huge market. And my take on that would be that slowly the age group of investors will come down systematically. We are a very young country, and you will find more and more people investing in assets that become accessible to them.
Anand, back to you. One line verdict on budget's impact on real estate.
I think it's a very balanced budget. I think for businesses, there's a lot that has happened. As individuals, we may feel a little cheesed off because we have to pay a little higher taxes. Yes. But then listen, I mean, you're making money, you contribute a little bit back to the society. Just thank your stars that you're amongst the fortunate. There are so many unfortunate people, and if you contribute a little more for the betterment of the overall community, why not? It pinches a little bit, it hurts, but then it goes to a good cause, I believe. But for the businesses, I think this whatever long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains rationalization that has happened has done a fantastic job in creating level playing field amongst various instruments. Earlier, equity instruments had this undue advantage, right? That their tax rates were lower, the holding periods were lower. It was the need of the hour, possibly 10 years back when the markets were being developed. So as compared to that, real estate and other alternate assets were suffering. So I think now, whether you invest in real estate directly, or whether you invest in real estate through an SPV like a tokenization structure, there is no indexation for both, so it's level playing field. Whether you invest in equities or whether you invest in property, the long-term capital gains are the same. So now each asset class, will be on even keel, so to speak. So diversification makes sense now, So you're not making investment choices because of tax rates, So I think that's the best part of the exercise. The fact that everything is brought to an even keel.
Adding to this, now they have abolished the angel tax. So do you expect all DRX valuations to go up, because there were a lot of people who were speaking about putting in money, but there were a lot of other obligations for them. Do you see a good move there?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic move. I think these are all unnecessary dark clouds, voice of concerns. As such, investing in a startup is a risky piece. Now you have all these unnecessary distractions. It was irritation in that ecosystem. I think the fact that it's removed makes it easier. I think there's a lot of interest amongst angels to participate in this asset class. There's humongous interest, I think so much more interest than I would say venture funds, which are more measured, so to speak. Like for example, in the UK, there are so many tax advantages for an angel. If I make an angel investment, a part of the investment can be set off against multiple things. You have tax breaks that are available. I think the angel capital is extremely important for startups. Removing angel tax is a great step. Now, I believe just like how you were incentivizing equity markets, which is capital markets 10 years ago, and supporting that, I believe you should start encouraging angels to put in money and they get a little tax break, and then it adds to that momentum. I think that is required, hopefully, the next budget,
Yeah, hopefully we'll see that. As we come to the end, Avinash, where can we see all DRX in next 5 years?
So this is, we can do a little bit of crystal ball gazing. But,
okay.
What I can safely tell you is that all DRX would be the one-stop shop to go to when anybody thinks of fractional and tokenized real estate, and whenever they want to invest in fractional real estate in the residential space, I don't think so there will be anyone else who will be able to offer them greater value. So I think in the next 5 years we will be the go-to place for people to come and invest in a manner where they'll feel secure and safe, as well as be able to diversify their investments. So in the next 5 years, that's where we see ourselves. There could be numbers attached to it, how many subscribers, how many active users, etc. I don't want to hazard a guess today, because if you had asked somebody in 2020, if you had gone to some of the biggest brokerage firms and asked them what will be your subscriber base, I don't think so they would have hazarded a guess. So the next 5 years could be anything for us, and I think it's a big opportunity. But I strongly believe that when people would like to invest in residential real estate, we would be right up there in the pecking order. That's where we would be in the next 5 years.
Great. Anand, a last piece to you. When can people have access to international properties on ALT DRX? How soon?
Great question. We are part of the IFSCA gift ecosystem.
Which is called as a gift city.
Gift city.
Yes.
Gift city in Gandhinagar. In Gujarat.
Yes.
Very progressive regulator.
Amazing.
I mean, cutting edge regulations. Asset tokenization framework is part of their charter. We are one of the first few to be part of the sandbox there. The fundamental idea of being in the sandbox is to see how we can offer offshore assets to resident Indians, and to get foreigners to invest in tokenized Indian real estate. So my sense is in about 6 to 12 months, we should be able to offer a few international cities. So you and I not just can buy 1 square foot in Bombay and Bangalore, but you can buy 1 square foot in Dubai and Singapore. So this regulator, the Unified Financial Services regulator, is doing a fantastic job, and I hope that we are able to see through and get the final authorization. So fingers crossed.
Thank you, Anand. I think it was very nice interacting with you. Thank you, Avinash. I think our audience would love to get the perspective, whatever you guys have tried to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we look forward.
Thank you so much for having us over, and good luck to the talk.
Thank you.